My boots scrape against the front porch as I fumble with my house key. The wind of October pierces through my light jacket, reminding me that for the third consecutive year, I've delayed purchasing a suitable winter coat. After 12 hours at Horizon Logistics, every muscle in my body is crying out for relief. All I desire is a hot shower and some peace. Finally, the lock clicks open. The familiar fragrance of my mother's rose-scented air freshener envelopes me as I enter, somehow making the house feel more constricted than inviting. "Is that you, Diana?" Mom's voice calls from the living room, where the television is blaring a repeat of some medical show. "Yes, it's me," I reply, placing my purse on the entryway table. A pile of mail rests there, and the glaring red final notice on the mortgage statement hits me hard. My thumb glides over the embossed numbers, $1,150 due by Friday. Just 3 days away. I shut my eyes and count backwards from 10, a trick my dad taught me when I was 8 and frightened of thunderstorms. The refrigerator calls to me with a futile glimmer of hope. I swing the door wide open to see exactly what I feared. Bare shelves, save for my meticulously labeled meal prep containers. Monday through Friday, portions of chicken and vegetables, measured out perfectly. Everything organized, calculated, controlled. The rest of the fridge stares back, stark white and empty. "Did you remember to pick up my prescriptions?" Mom's voice rises from the living room, more expectant than appreciative. I lean my forehead against the chilly metal of the refrigerator door. Yes, they're in my bag. The volume of the television decreases slightly. My back is really hurting today. Can you bring them in? And maybe make some tea? I shut the refrigerator door and delve into my purse, extracting the crumpled paycheck I cashed during my lunch. The paper feels delicate in my fingers, almost insubstantial, given how fast the money will vanish. I lay the $1,150 next to the mortgage notice, adding an additional $50 for the inevitable late fee. My father's voice resounds in my memory as I fill the kettle for Mom's tea. "Just until she gets back on her feet, Lily," he'd said at the funeral, using my childhood nickname while we stood under umbrellas in the drizzling cemetery. Dad, ever the optimist, even in his absence. "She needs you right now. You know how your mother is." I did know. And 5 years later, that knowledge still holds true. The kettle's whistle interrupts my thoughts. Through the kitchen doorway, I catch sight of what should have been my home office. The paperwork for the Denver promotion remains tucked inside the desk drawer, far past its deadline. Regional manager. A $20,000 increase. An opportunity to create something of my own. Diana? The tea? The edges of the documents have yellowed, yet I keep them, a reminder or a curse, I can never tell. I carry the tea into the living room, where Mom is settled in Dad's old leather chair. The television casts bluish shadows across her face, making her appear older than her 56 years. "You took forever at work today," she remarks, accepting the mug without glancing up from the screen. "They asked me to cover for Stephanie again." I perch on the edge of the sofa, too drained to sink into its cushions for fear I might not rise again. Extra hours mean extra cash. Mom takes a sip of her tea, grimacing. Not enough sugar. Her gaze drifts to the framed picture on the side table, Elise and Dylan on their wedding day. Her fingers reach to touch the silver frame. If only you had Elise's sunny outlook. She never lets the little things get her down. The little things being our mortgage, utilities, groceries, and her medications. Elise isn't burdened by such worries. I respond, keeping my tone even, despite the anger simmering within me. Your father would be so proud of how you take care of me, Mom says, her usual trump card. The words strike me as they always do, twisting like a knife between my heart and spine. I'm going to take a shower. In the bathroom, I look at my reflection. Dark circles under my eyes, hair pulled back in a pragmatic ponytail. I hardly recognize the woman staring back. Just a few more months, I tell her softly. Just a few more months and I'll start anew. My phone buzzes from my jeans pocket, which lie crumpled on the floor. I consider ignoring whoever is reaching out, but when I see Elise's name, I hesitate. Family is family, Dad would say. I answer, Diana. Elise's voice comes through bright and enthusiastic. Guess what? We're coming home. My stomach tightens. Home? What do you mean? Dylan lost his job. The magazine is downsizing. Can you believe it? After all his hard work. Her voice drops conspiratorially. It's just temporary, of course. Until we get back on our feet. The phrase resonates with Dad's words from 5 years ago. Just until Mom gets back on her feet. Just until Elise gets back on her feet. Everyone else is starting to recover while I'm still down, overwhelmed by their demands. Have you talked to Mom? I inquire, already sensing from my sister's enthusiasm what the answer is. Yes. She's excited. Says it'll feel just like the old days. I hear her footsteps nearing the bathroom door. Diana? Is that Elise? Let me speak to her. I swing the door open. Mom grabs the phone from me, her face lit up with a smile I haven't seen in ages. Elise, darling. I've begun making plans. Yes, yes. Of course Diana is happy as well. Handing the phone back, I retreat to my room. So, when are you visiting? I ask Elise. This weekend? Perfect timing, right? Dylan has some promising prospects lined up. I swallow hard. You can stay in the guest room. It's small, but... Oh. Mom already mentioned we could take your room. Elise interjects. It makes more sense since it's larger. You don't mind, do you? You're hardly home with all your work shifts. Suddenly, the surroundings fall silent, as if reality has been muted. I stare at the walls of my bedroom, the one space in this house that I consider mine. Diana? Are you there? Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. The Taylor family motto, exclusively applied to me. I hear myself say I'll clear out my belongings. After ending the call, I remain frozen in the middle of my room. Outside, I see Mrs. Henderson watering her plants next door. She waves when she notices me. I respond reflexively. For the first time in 5 years, I perceive myself not just as a daughter obligated to fulfill promises, but as a resource being drained until empty. And when I'm depleted, they'll find another source to tap. This awareness doesn't bring anger or sadness. Rather, it's like rearranging furniture to accommodate a truth I've kept outside. I am replaceable. I am forgettable. I exist solely as what I can offer. And maybe, just maybe, that implies I am also free. On Saturday, the doorbell rings 3 times in quick succession. I instantly recognize the eager pattern. Elise has always struggled to wait more than a few seconds. I drag myself from the cramped guest room, now filled with boxes containing remnants of my life. The bedroom I've occupied for 28 years was cleared and shifted in a matter of hours, while I was working to pay the mortgage on this house. As I open the front door, Elise leaps toward me, her perfume enveloping me. Behind her, Dylan is grappling with 3 matching leather suitcases likely worth more than my entire closet. Diana, Elise squeals, wrapping her arms around my neck. I awkwardly pat her back. You too. My gaze lands on the Louis Vuitton luggage Dylan is trying to bring inside. Considering he just lost his job, he sure isn't traveling light. Mom's in the kitchen preparing your favorites, I remark, stepping aside to let them in. Elise lights up. I asked her not to fuss, but you know how she gets when her baby returns. Her baby. Not babies. Never more than one. The guest room is prepared for me? I ask, though I already suspect the answer. When I returned from my shift yesterday, I found Mom cleaning out my closet, my items stacked messily on the dining table. Oh, Diana. Elise puts her hand on my arm, the diamond on her engagement ring shimmering. You're such a homebody. This works out wonderfully. Plus, Dylan and I need the extra room. Mom comes into the hallway, drying her hands on a dish towel. Her face is illuminated with an energy I haven't seen since Dad passed away. There's my girl. She rushes by me to embrace Elise. I hang back, observing the reunion as if through glass. 3 suitcases for a short visit. Lavish luggage for people claiming financial hardship. The calculations don't seem to align, but I'm the only one preoccupied with the math. Dylan, put your belongings in Diana's room. Mom directs, still holding Elise close. She's already moved into the guest room? Dylan's eyebrows rise slightly. Mom managed that yesterday, I reply, keeping my tone neutral. She was very efficient. Mom beams, pleased with her work. I wanted everything to be perfect for you too. I step into the kitchen to check on the pot roast with all the accompaniments. Dad's favorite meal now being prepared for Elise's welcome home. I lift the lid of the roasting pan, breathing in the rich scent that used to herald family and comfort but now feels like favoritism served with carrots. The car keys hang by the door. Mom calls out to Dylan. Diana won't need the car on Monday, she can take the bus to work. My hand pauses on the lid. What? Mom appears in the kitchen doorway. Dylan needs to search for jobs on Monday. You can handle the bus for a few days. A few days feels ominously endless. I set the lid back on carefully, taking a moment before I reply. I have appointments throughout the city on Monday, and I rely on my car. Mom, with a sigh that reveals her discontent, states, your sister needs us at this moment. Can't you consider someone other than yourself? The familiar shame wells up inside me, akin to acid in my throat. I suppress it, my nails pressing into my palms. I had already informed their landlord you'd handle their leftover lease payments, she mentions nonchalantly while adjusting a magnet on the refrigerator. Just until they get settled in. I gaze at her, hoping for some acknowledgement of what she's requesting, but her demeanor remains serene and expectant. What did you tell their landlord? Before she can respond, Elise's laughter drifts in from the hallway. I glance over to see her and Dylan whispering near the front door, their heads close together. We'll be fine, Elise tells him in a hushed tone that still carries through the quiet of the house. Diana manages everything. The wooden spoon in my grasp breaks suddenly. I hadn't realized the grip had been so tight. Later that night, restless on the uncomfortable fold-out mattress in the guest room, I power on my laptop. The cramped desk presses against my knees, a stark contrast to the ample space I enjoyed in my old bedroom. An email alert captures my attention. It's an old message from Elise to Mom from 3 weeks prior. My finger hovers over the delete key, yet curiosity prevails. I open it. "Don't worry about Diana," Mom had written back. "She'll understand, she always does." The timestamp taunts me, 3 weeks ago. Dylan's job termination wasn't unforeseen. This move had clearly been planned for a while. It seems I was the only one left in the dark. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus, my colleague. "The offer in Knoxville is still available if you're interested. Regional role. Company housing included." I place the phone face down on the desk, yet the opportunity it signifies glows more intensely than the screen itself. Through the thin wall, I hear Elise in my former bedroom saying to Dylan, "We should truly update this room, sell some of this old furniture and get something more suited to our taste." My furniture, which I purchased with my earnings, is already deemed old-fashioned before even being unpacked. The next morning, I catch Mom in the kitchen compiling a grocery list that's significantly longer than usual. "We'll need more groceries now," she states without looking up, "and the utility bills will increase with 4 people living here. I've calculated it all out." She pushes the list toward me along with a calculator that displays a total nearly equal to half my monthly salary. "We're family," she adds when I don't react right away. "We support one another." Out the window, I see Mrs. Henderson from next door observing as Elise carelessly discards my carefully cultivated herb garden. The plants I've tended to for 3 years, tossed aside without a thought. Mrs. Henderson meets my gaze and slightly shakes her head. On Monday, rather than eating lunch, I make a trip to the bank. Mr. Peterson, the branch manager who assisted Dad in setting up our accounts years prior, reviews the joint account activity at my request. "You're the only one making contributions," he notes, scrolling through the transaction history. It has been this way for quite some time. As I head back to work, I finally make a call I've been putting off for months. "Marcus, is that position in Knoxville still up for grabs?" The words spill out before I can have second thoughts. "Absolutely, for you it is," he replies without a moment's pause. That evening, as Elise and Mom organize a welcome home barbecue in the backyard and Dylan takes my car to explore job opportunities, I slip into my old room. The closet doors are wide open, Elise's designer outfits now hanging where my clothes once were. My desk has been shoved into the corner, its drawers emptied of my belongings. I kneel down and lift the loose floorboard where I had hidden my Denver promotion paperwork years ago. Underneath rests my emergency fund, $5,000 in cash, a secret no one is aware of. Dad always advised keeping something back for unforeseen circumstances, saying, "The world changes quickly, Lily." How right he was. As I call a moving service amidst the laughter of my family floating through the open window, guilt twists in my stomach as I set the date, yet something else arises alongside it, a feeling that resembles freedom. "We can come on Monday at 9 a.m. sharp, the dispatcher confirms. I take the day off work, marking the first personal day I've taken in over a year. By nightfall, I've switched the utilities entirely to Emily's name and withdrawn funds from our joint account, leaving only enough for one mortgage payment. I arrange for mail to be forwarded and confirm my acceptance of the Knoxville position, starting next Wednesday. From the guest room window, I watch Elise and Dylan on the porch swing Dad built, their faces lit by the glow of expensive smartphones. Mom brings them drinks, attentive to their needs. None of them have inquired about my whereabouts that evening. And I refrain from volunteering information for once. Next Wednesday is set to be my first morning in Knoxville, marked by a silence that feels unfamiliar. The television isn't blasting with medical shows, there are no passive-aggressive sighs echoing from another room, and no one is calling my name with that tone indicating more chores await. Instead, sunlight filters through blinds I picked out myself, warming the small yet sunlit bedroom of my apartment. I stretch across the mattress, my limbs reaching each corner without intruding on someone else's space. Memories of 5 years of sharing my bed, listening for nighttime movements, someone needing medicine, water, or reassurance, flood my mind. Last night, for the first time since Dad's passing, I enjoyed 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep. A ping from my phone on the nightstand reveals 17 missed calls from Mom and 32 messages from Elise. I scroll through them without opening any, catching snippets in the previews. How could you just? After everything we've. Dad would be so disappointed. The last one should hit me hard, but I simply flip the phone face down and head to the shower. My morning routine feels like a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis, efficient and unburdened by the needs of others. Coffee brewed to my liking, breakfast consumed while reading rather than mediating family disputes. No comments on my mundane meal prep containers. 2 weeks later, my new role as team lead at Horizon's Knoxville facility has already led to a reorganization in the shipping department, reducing processing time by 14%. My supervisor noted the change right away. Yesterday, he said, whatever Nashville was paying you wasn't enough, as he placed a company-wide recognition certificate on my desk. That evening at home, I wrote in my journal, I keep waiting for guilt that isn't arriving. Because it's true. The guilt I expected, the burdensome weight of family obligation I thought would crush me, hasn't surfaced. Instead, I feel something unfamiliar unfurling in my chest, something that might evolve into happiness with the right nurturing. The lobby intercom buzzes as I pull on my jacket, ready to leave for work. Miss Taylor, there are 2 women here insisting they need to see you. They claim to be family. My stomach tightens, and my shoulders instinctively hunch. Old habits die hard. I'll be right down. The elevator ride feels like a drop into my past, each descending floor marking the removal of my hard-earned peace. Deep breaths, just like Dad taught me. The doors open to reveal Mom and Elise in the lobby, appearing both out of place and entitled. Mom's cardigan is incorrectly buttoned, her hair untidy, suggesting distress rather than actual neglect. Elise's eyes are visibly reddened, yet her makeup is immaculate. There she is, Elise announces loudly, addressing the lobby, the daughter who abandoned her family without a word. A few patrons glance up from their phones, and the security guard shifts uncomfortably. Good morning, I say, maintaining a steady voice. This is unexpected. Mom steps forward, arms extended. Diana, how could you leave us with nothing? The electricity might be cut off, and there's no food at home. My hands tremble slightly, but I keep them at my sides. I left the utilities in your name, with payments made through the end of the month. I left a mortgage payment and detailed instructions on payment plans. That's insufficient, Mom's voice elevates, drawing attention. We need you, Diana. We've always needed you. The security guard approaches, concern evident. Everything all right here, Miss Taylor? Elise turns to him sharply. This is a family matter. My sister has abandoned our mother with no means to support herself. That's not true, I assert quietly but with resolve. Mom has received Dad's pension for years. She chose not to work and opted to spend rather than save. You're heartless, Elise retorts. After all we've done for you. A laugh escapes me, sharp and unexpected. Exactly, Elise. I didn't leave you with nothing, I left you with precisely what you deserve. Mom's face crumples, her act so convincing I almost feel compelled to comfort her. Almost. Marcus appears beside me, holding a coffee cup. Everything okay, Diana? We have that supplier meeting in 5 minutes. Elise moves to push past him into the employee area. We're not done here. You can't just abandon family. Marcus shifts to block her, his movement casual yet deliberate. Ma'am, the area requires an employee badge. She's my sister, Elise protests. And she's my colleague, Marcus replies amiably, who has a meeting to attend. I nod gratefully to Marcus, then turn back to Mom and Elise. I need to leave now. I suggest you discuss mortgage solutions on your ride back to Nashville. The shock on their faces follows me into the conference room. Later that evening, my neighbor Zara knocks on my door, bringing a casserole and an invitation to dinner. I thought you might enjoy some company, she says. Relocating to a new city can often feel isolating. The slightest act of kindness nearly overwhelms me. Later, as we wash the dishes, my phone begins to ring. Mrs. Henderson's name flashes on the display. They're saying you abandoned them, she states bluntly. Emily has convinced the entire neighborhood that you experienced some breakdown and simply vanished. Are you shocked by this? I inquire while drying a plate. Not at all. That's why I'm reaching out to everyone to clarify the situation. Her fervor comforts me. Anyone who saw how dedicated you were to that home and those individuals for 5 years isn't falling for their narrative. 3 days later, my supervisor approaches my desk. Take tomorrow off if needed. Family matters can be complex, he suggests. I'm fine, I assert. He responds with a warm smile, take it anyway. You deserve a break. The following morning, as I drive back to Nashville, my heart races while approaching my former neighborhood. I need to verify my mail forwarding at the post office, but an impulse drives me towards the house first. I park across the road and gaze at the residence that held me captive for 5 years. The front yard shows signs of neglect. Dad's rose bushes droop from lack of water. Suddenly, the front door swings open, and Dylan steps out with a box for his car. Before I can second-guess myself, I get out of my car. Hello, Dylan. He freezes, almost dropping the box. Diana, you scared the life out of me. I'm here to collect a few things, I reply. He glances anxiously at the house. Claire isn't going to be thrilled to see you. I realize that, I respond. Inside the living room, I'm shocked to find only dusty outlines where my furniture used to be. The bookshelves I built with Dad are gone, and so is the coffee table I refurbished. Mom appears from the kitchen, her eyes widening at the sight of me. You took everything, she accuses, her voice trembling. I took what was mine, I respond calmly. Dylan grimaces, looking between us. Wait, was she paying for all of that? His confused expression might be humorous if it weren't so sad. Elise storms in from the hallway. What happened to Dad's life insurance money? There should have been savings. Mom's face turns red. Well, the kitchen needed some renovations. And your car? Elise's voice rises in a shriek. You said we had savings. $36,000, I reply quietly. The policy paid out $36,000, which vanished within 8 months. Elise turns to me, her utterly perfect makeup now streaked with tears. Were you aware of this? I discovered it when the mortgage payment was due and there was nothing left, I explain. Mom collapses onto the couch, my couch, which they apparently couldn't carry out, and begins to cry. Please, help us sort this out, Diana. You always know what to do. The remark strikes me like a lightning bolt. I was never seen as the daughter, I was the solution, the fixer, the safety net. Elise paces angrily, radiating fury. Are you really going to do nothing? After everything Mom has done for you? You're heartless. My heart is fine, I reply. It's just no longer available for your needs. Mom dramatically grasps her chest. My blood pressure medication is running low. The doctor warned my condition worsens with stress. Dylan, finally catching up, points an accusing finger at me. You should have informed us about the financial situation before just leaving. I walk to the kitchen counter and place the mortgage statement I brought with me squarely in the middle. 5 years left. It's your responsibility now. Elise grabs my arm as I turn to leave. You can't just turn your back on family. I gently pull her fingers away from my sleeve. You wanted each other. Now you have what you wished for. Outside, the October air feels refreshing. Much more so than it did just 20 minutes earlier. As I settle into my car, my phone vibrates with a bank notification, revealing Emily Taylor attempting to access a closed joint account. A message from Elise appears. You can't just walk away from family. This isn't finished. An email notification follows about a forwarded letter from my old address regarding Emily's declining health condition. My finger hovers over the block button as I stare at the house that was never truly mine. Instead, I press delete. I'll handle them later, on my own terms. For now, I drive back toward Knoxville, toward my new life, toward the person I'm becoming, free from bearing everyone else's burdens. The road ahead looks clear and open, and for the first time in 5 years, so does my future. A week later, the certified letter rests on my kitchen counter like a grenade with its pin half removed. It has been sitting there for 3 days, my name and new address printed in sharp black letters that seem to pierce through me. I know exactly what it contains, my final communication to Emily regarding the mortgage. My therapist refers to it as necessary closure. I see it as peeling off a bandage that has been superglued to my skin. I slide my finger beneath the flap and withdraw the lone sheet of paper. To Emily Taylor, this correspondence serves as an official notice that, effective October 15th, I will no longer bear financial responsibility for the property located at 1422 Oak Ridge Lane. My phone vibrates against the countertop. It's Marcus from the office. He informs me without preface that Elise has arrived at the workplace. Security reached out to me since she refused to leave the lobby. A knot forms in my stomach. What was her intention? She wanted to discuss a charity contribution with Mr. Reynolds for her struggling family, frequently mentioning my name. I shut my eyes and count backward from 10, but for the first time in 20 years, my father's calming technique does not work. I managed to respond, "Thanks for the update." Reynolds dismissed her quickly, stating the company does not make personal charity donations, especially ones that could be misconstrued as favoritism towards an employee's relatives. The irony stings. I have dedicated 5 years ensuring my family does not face hardship, yet now they are seeking charity in my workplace's lobby. After ending the call, I complete the certified letter's addressing. My handwriting remains consistent even though my heart races under my skin. The mortgage is now Emily's concern. 5 years of payments, totaling $69,000, have disappeared into a home I no longer inhabit. An email notification sounds from my laptop. From Horizon Security. Subject: Suspicious online review. The review is brief yet biting. Diana Taylor manages logistics the same way she manages family, by deserting them when faced with difficulties. I forward the email to HR along with a brief note regarding my familial situation. Then proceed to freeze all 3 credit bureaus with a few deft clicks. It isn't my first encounter with Dylan's attempts to access my accounts. When my therapist's office finally calls me at 2 p.m., my headache has developed into a persistent throb behind my right eye. Dr. Winters has an available slot. Could I come in at 3 instead of waiting until Friday? Sometimes the universe offers a favorable twist. Dr. Winters' office carries the scent of coffee and aged leather, a combination that usually eases the tension in my shoulders. She gestures toward the blue armchair I have claimed during our weekly sessions. You appear to have trouble sleeping, she notes, notepad balanced on her lap. It's family reunion day. I manage a smile that lacks warmth. The boundaries we talked about? I present her with a page from my notebook labeled, What I Will and Won't Accept. The first point states that I will not be financially responsible for adults who can work. They have creatively tested every boundary today, I inform her. Emily has put the house up for sale. Dr. Winters raises her eyebrows slightly. Without addressing the mortgage issue. The realtor contacted me when the title search indicated my name on the loan documents. And how did that make you feel? Her question opens a floodgate of emotions within me, as if she believes I'm simply a source of money. We spend the next 50 minutes exploring constructive versus reactive responses. When I finally leave, the headache has diminished to a dull sensation rather than sharp pain. As I pull into my apartment complex's parking lot, my phone lights up with a news alert. A new GoFundMe campaign, Help the Taylor family retain their home. Elise's smiling face is displayed prominently. Emily is beside her, looking fragile and anxious. The description infuriates me. After our sister, the daughter, abandoned us during a financial crisis. I take a screenshot and send it to my lawyer with a 2-word message, defamation lawsuit. Just as I'm about to put my phone away, it rings. Mrs. Henderson's name appears on the screen. I thought you should be aware, she begins without a greeting. The truth is surfacing. That GoFundMe your sister started? People are raising questions. Betty Marshall from church recalled your father's insurance policy and directly asked Emily what happened to that money. What was her response? I gripped the steering wheel tightly with my other hand. She stammered something about medical costs. Then Betty brought up seeing Emily's kitchen renovation last year. A laugh escapes me, sharp and sincere. The renovation I funded because Emily argued it would boost the home's market value. Well, now half the neighborhood is aware of that. And Elise is showing photos of the house to potential buyers, filled with maintenance issues. The back steps are deteriorating, and the gutters are clogged, tasks I used to tackle on weekends. That evening, my doorbell rings. I glance through the peephole to see a group of my colleagues. Marcus stands at the front with a casserole dish. Intervention, he declares as I open the door. We heard Elise came to the office. They enter my apartment, bringing food and camaraderie devoid of obligation. Someone hands me a glass of wine, and conversation flows around work, plans for the weekend, a movie someone wants to watch, ordinary topics with no connection to mortgage payments or guilt. We're hosting Thanksgiving at our place, Marcus's wife, Janine, informs me, giving my arm a reassuring squeeze. You're in, no exceptions. My throat tightens. I usually handle the cooking for it. Not this year, she gently interrupts. A text from an unrecognized number buzzes on my phone. Mom has just secured a part-time cashier position at Wilson's Pharmacy. She is upset. A follow-up message arrives immediately. It's Liam, by the way. Elise's friend. I thought you should be aware that things aren't going well over there. I show the texts to Marcus. Good, he responds decisively. It's about time they start being self-sufficient. Later, after everyone departs, I find myself at my window gazing at cars driving by on the street below. My apartment is compact yet tranquil. There are no calls for prescriptions, tea, or attention. No bills are lurking in the shadows, ready to ambush me. A final buzz from my phone signals the end of the day. It's an email notification from Elise Taylor with the subject line, "This is all your fault." She blames me for saying Diana would always take care of us. Clearly, this was intended for Emily. I forward it to my therapy journal folder as proof of the cracks beginning to appear in their united front. For the first time in 5 years, I drift off to sleep without the burden of tomorrow's responsibilities weighing me down. My dreams are serene, free from guilt or anxiety. It turns out that freedom costs just what I can manage. 10 days later, the sterile smell of the hospital wafts toward me before I fully enter the room. It merges with the faint floral scent of Emily's perfume, the same brand she has worn since I was 10. Mom reclines on crisp white sheets, appearing smaller than I recall from merely 3 months prior. Her hair, typically dyed to conceal the gray, now reveals silver strands. The sight takes me by surprise. "Diana," she croaks. "You came." I linger in the doorway, flowers clutched protectively in my hands. Just 3 steps would take me to her side, yet my feet remain planted. The doctor assured me it was a minor procedure. I respond, my voice firmer than I feel. "Elise implied you were near death." Mom's hand flutters to her chest. "My heart, sweetie. The palpitations began after you left us. Dr. Simmons says it's stress-related." I set the daisies on the windowsill, careful not to disturb the collection of get-well cards. Most feature the logo of our family church, with gold crosses shimmering in the afternoon light. "Pastor Williams called me yesterday," I inform her. "He mentioned a family healing intervention. We're all concerned about you." Mom's eyes fill with unshed tears. "Running away and cutting ties with your family isn't like you, Lily." The childhood nickname hits me with unexpected intensity. My stomach churns, a familiar ache rising into my chest. For a fleeting moment, I envision reaching for my checkbook and saying, "Just until you get back on your feet." That ingrained pattern runs deep. Instead, I say, "I didn't run away, I moved on." The bathroom door swings open, revealing Elise with her phone in hand. She pauses upon seeing me, her feigned surprise failing to reach her eyes. "Oh, you're here," she observes, tucking her phone away and approaching me with outstretched arms for a hug I don't reciprocate. "Did you receive my messages about the family meeting? Everyone's coming." "I'm not staying for any meeting." Elise's smile falters. She digs into a tote bag and presents a worn leather photo album. "I brought some items that might help you remember who you are and our family's identity." The album opens to a faded Polaroid of Dad teaching me to fish, with Elise, only 5, watching from the shore. My throat constricts. "Family comes first," Elise whispers. "That's what Dad always said." A muscle in my jaw twitches. "Is that why you told others I had a mental breakdown? To jog my memory?" Elise pales, quickly glancing at Mom. "I was worried about you." Worried enough to spread rumors to my former neighbors? To mislead Mom's doctor? Mom's monitor beeps faster. "Diana, please, not now." A migraine begins to form at the back of my head. I press my fingers to my temples, regretting that I didn't bring my medication. I wish my therapist were not on vacation this week. All we want, Elise says, inching closer, is a fresh start. Just a little assistance until we're stable. Those words again, the family mantra. I scrutinize my sister, really look at her, the designer watch, the freshly highlighted hair, the manicured nails that have never scrubbed a toilet or patched drywall. I have something for you, I say quietly. I unzip my bag and pull out a thick folder filled with mortgage statements, utility bills, grocery receipts, and insurance payments, all in my name, totaling $78,400. What's this? Elise inquires, though her tone implies she knows. Evidence, I reply, placing the folder on Mom's tray table and flipping it open. Every dollar I spent keeping this family afloat while you were off discovering yourself in Atlanta. Mom turns her face away. That's cruel, Diana. I was grieving. So was I assert without faltering. But I still went to work every day. I still provided a roof over our heads. I extract the last page, my expired job offer from Denver. Regional manager. $20,000 more per year than I earned in Nashville. I turned this down for you. I put it at the top of the stack. For 5 years, I denied my own life. Elise's phone buzzes. She glances at it and then back at me with narrowed eyes. Uncle Edward and Aunt Zara have just arrived, along with the pastor. Good, I reply. They ought to see this as well. The door swings open. Uncle Edward steps in first, wearing a carefully controlled expression of concern. Aunt Zara follows him, and then Pastor Williams enters, his kind demeanor faltering as he notices the documents laid out on Mom's table. Diana, the pastor begins. We're here to assist your family in healing. That's perfect timing, I gesture toward the statements. Let's initiate some honesty here. Uncle Edward approaches, scrutinizing the figures. His bushy eyebrows rise as he takes in the sums. Emily? What's all this? Mom gazes at the ceiling. Elise interjects, Diana has been under tremendous stress. I cut in, I've been stressed because I've been supporting 3 adults on a single income while Mom told everyone I abandoned her, and Elise spread rumors about my mental stability. Aunt Zara picks up a mortgage statement. Emily, you told us Diana left you with nothing and that you were about to lose the house. That she took all the furniture. Mom weakly protests, but she took the furniture. The furniture I paid for, I correct. After Dad's insurance funds went towards Elise's car and that unnecessary kitchen renovation. Pastor Williams clears his throat. Maybe we should allow Emily a moment to gather herself. This appears. This is exactly what should happen, Uncle Edward surprisingly agrees. He gestures at the Denver offer letter. You refused this to stay with your mother? I nod, feeling something release in my chest at the validation in his gaze. Young lady, he says, your father would be ashamed. Mom physically flinches. But Uncle Edward isn't looking at me. He'd be ashamed of how his wife and younger daughter have treated the girl who gave up everything for them. He continues, Joe Taylor raised you better than this, Emily. The room is quiet except for the rhythmic beep of the monitor. Elise stares down at her shoes, and Mom's chin quivers. I didn't realize, she finally whispers. I didn't know how much I took from you. Although her words should bring me victory, instead, they simply acknowledge a past that can't be changed. I don't require apologies, I state, gathering the papers back into my folder. I need respect. I need boundaries. But we're family, Elise insists, lacking her normal conviction. Yes, and being family means no one gets abandoned, I reply. But it doesn't mean one person is expected to shoulder everyone's burdens. Not anymore. I zip my bag and rise. I hope you recover soon, Mom. As I approach the door, Elise rushes after me. Can we at least discuss the mortgage payment due next week? She whispers. I turn to confront my sister one final time. No. The word resonates in the hallway as I walk away, feeling lighter with each step I take away from her. A year later, morning sunlight filters through sheer curtains, casting soft patterns across the hardwood in my living room. I buoyantly settled on my promotion to Regional Logistics Director, affording this modest Knoxville bungalow. It isn't extravagant, but it is undeniably mine. As I curl my toes into the braided rug, sipping coffee from my reading nook, I look outside at the flourishing garden I planted, with dahlias and black-eyed Susans swaying gently in the October breeze. These plants thrive with little care but immense beauty, much like I feel these days. The doorbell rings. Edward stands on my porch, his English teacher's satchel slung across his chest, strands of gray catching the sunlight. I brought fresh scones, he announces, holding up a paper bag. Thought we could have breakfast before your shift. His smile shines genuinely, demanding nothing in return. After 6 months of dating, there's still no emotional scorekeeping, no tests of loyalty, just mutual respect wrapped in quiet tenderness. My phone buzzes while we spread jam on the warm scones. Cousin Vivian's name flashes on the screen. I need to take this, I inform Edward, who nods and wanders to admire my latest bookshelf installation. Diana, thank goodness you answered, Vivian's voice quivers. Derek left. The kids are a mess. I can't manage rent this month until I get back on my feet. The familiar refrain echoes the same desperate notes Emily and Elise played for years. I'm sorry to hear that, I reply, surprised by my calm demeanor. The Community Resource Center on Willow Street has emergency rental help. I can text you their number. Silence lingers between us. I no longer feel compelled to rush to fill the gap with promises. Is that all? Her voice sharpens. After everything our family has done for you? Yes, I respond simply. That's what I can offer at this moment. Once we end the call, Edward returns to the table. Everything all right? Actually, yes. And I genuinely mean it. Later, while sorting through the mail, I find an envelope containing my mortgage statement nestled among the usual bills. No urgent warnings, just a steady decrease in the principal as I build equity in something that truly belongs to me. I reach into the refrigerator to store leftover scones. The shelves are lined with fresh produce, my preferred sharp cheddar, and orange juice in the glass bottle I like, even though it costs a bit more. These small indulgences are important to me and were chosen without compromise. Suddenly, a notification pings on my phone, a confirmation of yet another automatic deposit into my savings account. The gradual increase in my balance signifies possibilities, choices, and thus, freedom. Sitting at my desk, I open my journal, my fingers gliding over the leather cover my father gave me on my 16th birthday, meant for my big ideas, he had said. I wish he could see that I've finally carved out space for them. As I write, I reflect that family doesn't mean sacrificing oneself, it shouldn't mean fading into the background. My therapist's voice resounds as I shut my journal. Guilt is merely fear masquerading as a noble quality. Next week will mark 18 months since I began unraveling old habits in my final session. Later that evening, I host a small housewarming party that had been postponed for months. Marcus and his wife Denise arrive, bringing a set of wind chimes for the back porch. From everyone at the office, Marcus says. You've motivated half the team to establish healthier boundaries. Mrs. Henderson shows up with cuttings from her garden, descendants of the plants I had nurtured at my previous home. These belong with you, she remarks. They always have. Afterward, Jennifer, the new logistics coordinator, approaches me. Can I ask you something personal? She inquires. My brother's moving in temporarily and is already mentioning the possibility of staying until next year. I'm scared to refuse. I notice the tightness in her gaze and the subtle hunch in her shoulders, clear signs of someone preparing for a blow. Your value isn't defined by your willingness to sacrifice, I advise her, handing over my therapist's business card. She has a sliding scale, and I'm available for coffee anytime you want to chat. The gratitude in her expression reflects my own feelings from months gone by. I had no idea that I could choose differently. Once everyone departs, I sink into my porch swing. The October evening envelopes me like a beloved cardigan. It's been 3 months since I last saw Emily and Elise at the 4th of July picnic, a visit I cut short as soon as the guilt trip began. The begrudging respect in Emily's eyes as I walked away was worth infinitely more than her approval ever was. My phone lights up, displaying Emily's name. I pause for a moment, weighing the choices that are genuinely mine now. Hello, Mom? I respond, my tone warm yet composed. I have finally grasped what has taken my entire life to learn. Family isn't what drains your energy, true family is what fosters your growth.